Hey everybody, so I put out a tweet last week about Halo Infinite's ranked system, and I actually got a reply from original Bungie developer Max Hoberman, who is the current CEO of Certain Affinity. Yes, that's Certain Affinity that is working on the secret game mode that we haven't seen yet. Max actually created the original ranking system for Halo 2 and Halo 3. And he weighed in about the overall state of Halo Infinite's skill-based matchmaking, as well as his philosophy about how video games should be and how they've changed over time. It was so interesting to see the different philosophies and perspectives from an old Bungie developer and compared to 343's current system. So I'm going to read the tweets to you, and then I'll explain them a little bit so everybody understands them. So first and foremost, Max says, I designed the ranking systems for Halo 2 and Halo 3. I had to use True Skill in Halo 3, but didn't want to. It wasn't aligned with my philosophy. It's predicated on a notion that the faster you reach your actual level, the better, and a belief that perfectly balanced games are always best. True Skill is the system Halo Infinite uses, the skill-based matchmaking system behind the scenes. The True Skill system believes that every single game should be always 100% balanced. He follows on to say, in order to make it work, I had to alter the fundamentals of how True Skill worked, and in ways counter to its core design and intention / an invention. And that's very, very important. Even then, we lost the transparency and intuitiveness that I desired. Again, the True Skill system actually wants every single game to be highly competitive with absolutely zero variety. In this tweet, Max basically says that he wanted some games to be very sweaty, other games to be very casual. A mix of variety of the two equaled the most relaxing experience while playing the game. He goes on to say philosophically, and somewhat contrary to the latest blog post 343 put out about the True Skill matchmaking system, he didn't believe that perfectly balanced games were always the most fun. In fact, I felt they were often the most stressful. This is the fundamental flaw in True Skill. I ended up replying to Max, saying I always felt like the biggest flaw in the system was that it always expects you to play at 100% efficiency. So if you just want to relax sometimes, you can't do that because it'll make the teams very lopsided. And Max was again kind enough to reply and say, yeah, it's fun to watch in sports. The more perfect balance, however, the less margin for error there is allowed. The team that wins is the team that's more focused, determined, and disciplined, all of which are inherently more stressful. Variety is the spice of matchmaking. For Ranked, I strongly believe every game should be as competitive as possible. That's what Ranked is for. For the social game modes, players should be able to have a variety against good, worse, and just average players. The majority of your games is going to be against regular players because the really good players are only 5% of the population, which means only 5% of your games are going to be against them. The key difference between 343 and Bungie was that Bungie believed that getting your rank shouldn't be instantaneous. You should slowly work towards it. So the system would slowly creep up your rank to where your skill should be. Whereas Halo Infinite calculates your skill within one game. A few days later, Max actually did another thread, and he says Halo 2 and Halo 3 both use skill-based matchmaking before it had its official name. I'll link all the tweets in the description if you want to go and read it yourself, because there is a lot of tweets, and Max basically explains the entire system in really great detail. But the main takeaway is that Max says to clear up any misconceptions, both Halo 2 and Halo 3 would try match you close to your level, but there was some mismatch intentionally allowed, and more of a time if you couldn't find a quality match, to allow games where all different players, all different skill levels can converge and have an experience where they can play with friends, they can just hang out, and no one feels the need to have to perform at their best. And the social features is what Halo Infinite is really lacking. Finally, Max says, I maintain that allowing this was the right call, and suspect that current skill-based matchmaking systems are often too strict. When reading Max's final tweet, he concludes by saying for Halo 2 and Halo 3, I assume the skill of the player base would map to a bell curve. With that in mind, the ranking system and associated matchmaking were designed for the middle of that bell curve, where the largest population resides. It really shows the complete different mindset between Bungie and 343. What I am going to say is that the older Halo games really prioritized social features to play with friends, and that was the core focus. Newer Halo titles and video games in general nowadays are very strict in their skill-based searching, and in so doing, people who are friends but of different skill levels can now no longer play with each other. But let me know what you think in the comments below, guys. Very interesting video. I could do another follow-up to this video if you'd like me to do more. But thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you guys later.